So I'm in the process of buying another life insurance policy from someone who already owns one, and I want to share with you today the numbers, how it works, and why I am doing it. Stay tuned. All right, guys, Jerry Fetta here, owner, founder, and CEO of Wealth Dynamics. So I know we've been calling these money clips, but I'm changing the game right now. We're gonna start calling these the weekly wealth walk, because I wanna share with you that I'm walking the walk with you as you build wealth. So this is my weekly wealth walk, no longer the money clip. We're the weekly wealth walk instead. And this week, I'm gonna share with you buying a sacred account that someone already owns, right? So I wanna go through a couple of things on this. Now, the first thing I'm looking at here is, why would I buy more sacred accounts? Okay, and I want to whiteboard this out for you so you can see the concept here, because there's this principle we call the banking quadrant, right? Similar to the cash flow quadrant, but it's a little bit more true and helpful, right? So the banking quadrant, this is how all banks work. You have the depositor, you have the banker, you have the borrower, and you have the shareholder. Okay, and I'll just type these out really quick. You know, when I'm the depositor, my job is one thing, that is deposit my savings at an increasing rate. So I want to save more and more money, right? When I'm the banker, I have one job, and that job is borrow against deposits and earn more than cost to borrow, right? So I borrow against the deposits. I want to earn more than my interest rate. Generally speaking, on a policy loan, and we're going to go over this today, most interest rates are going to be between 4 and 6% gross, right? You should be able to get 2 to 4% net if you do these correctly, okay? But that's your cost. You need to out earn these things. Now, as a borrower, I have one job. My one job is make money with a loan and repay as agreed. Okay, so this is where people sometimes get confused, because you're like, wait, you just said the banker's job is to borrow against the deposits. Yeah, so there's two loans going on here. A banker borrows against the deposit. The banker then takes that money they've borrowed and they loan it out to someone for a mortgage or a car loan or a credit card or whatever it might be, right? So you're borrowing against the deposit as a banker, and then as a borrower, you're this person too. You're borrowing from the banker and paying the banker an agreed upon interest rate. Okay, so here's how I would do this. Look what just arrived. I just got my copy of the Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Hey, enjoy the rest of the content. I don't want to interrupt you too long, but if you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo or click the link in the description, you can get your copy now. If I am going to, let's say I'm paying 6% on my loan, right? If I'm paying 6% on my loan, as a borrower, I need to pay this loan back at 7% interest, right? What does that mean? When I take this money that I've borrowed from the banking system as the borrower, I need to go make greater than 7%, right? And I need to be able to cover the payment, right? Now the 7% out of the two of these, the 7% is the least important, because I might do, let's just say for numbers' sake, I might have a $400 a month loan payment that I put up on auto schedule. And I'm doing 7% principal and interest, and I'm paying $400 a month back into this to the banker. The banker is then paying this back to the depositor. You see how there's two different flows there? It's not just one flow. Now, I might have a credit card that is maybe a car loan, let's say instead, that is 3% interest. 3% interest, not 7. Okay. Now it might be that I am, paying $500 a month on that car loan. And by paying the car loan off, I save 3%. Right? The 3% is no longer being paid. Okay. Now that's not more than 7, but I'm still going to do it. Right? The reason I'm still going to do it is that $500 a month now services back into my own banking system instead of into someone else's banking system. Right? So when I opened my first sacred account, I've got 6 of them now, right? I'm working on number 7. When I opened my first one, I got to a point where I was depositing money in regularly. I was being the depositor. Done. Now I was the banker. Now I didn't understand the banker's job was to borrow against the deposit at a greater cost than the interest it takes to borrow. I thought, because I was taught this incorrectly, I thought, oh, you make a positive spread on your loans. And I'm not saying you don't, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's math. The reality is your deposit will keep growing and earning guaranteed interest even when you borrow. As a depositor and as a shareholder, because you're an owner in the insurance company, you get dividends. You get shared profitability in the insurance company. You get dividends. You'll still get those dividends even when you borrow. So I have a deposit that's got a guaranteed interest rate. When I borrow against it, I'm still going to earn that guaranteed interest rate. I have a dividend rate based on the profitability of the company. When I borrow, I still get that dividend interest rate. Okay? So that's the reality. It's not when you borrow, you make a positive spread. It's when you borrowed, your money still grows like it never left, because it truly didn't. You borrowed against what you have in there. You didn't take out what you had in there, right? You want to make sure you have that in mind. Now, all of this happens, I get to the point where I borrow as the banker. I am charging the borrower, which is also me, more than my interest cost. Then as the borrower, I'm going to take the money I borrowed from the banker and I'm going to go invest. Or I'm going to pay off debt, or I'm going to self-finance a large purchase, and I'm going to make my payment on time as agreed, principal and interest, back to the banker. The banker will then pay that back to the depositor by replenishing the cash value. Right? That's the banking game. The shareholder, he gets paid dividends based on the profitability of the banking system and the number of locations that you have. So if I'm doing all of this, I'm making dividends on one location. I told you I now have 6 of them. I have 6 locations where I'm making guaranteed interest on my deposit, right? I am making interest on my loan, I'm making profit as an investor, and I'm making dividend on 6 of these dividend profits. I'm adding another one in. So I'm going to go to 7. Right now I want to talk about this 7 that I mentioned here, because this 7th one, I'm going to do it a little bit different. And this is how I did my last one. Okay, I bought a sacred account from someone who had one and didn't want it. Right? They had their banking business. They really, when they got into it, they're like, this is not something I want to do for whatever reason. And usually the reason this isn't what someone wants to do is going to be 2 reasons. Number one, they thought it was going to be passive. They were not prepared for the fact that you're running a banking business. You need to actually deposit the money in, and you need to keep track of your loans, and you need to set up auto repayments, and you need to pay attention to what your growth rates are, and you need to actively go out there and invest. Now that you have this borrowed money, it puts you in the driver's seat of your finances. And a lot of Americans, not just Americans, a lot of individuals, Canadians included, everyone included, they're not wanting to be in the driver's seat. They don't want to have to do things actively with their finances. They would rather give it to someone else and let them take care of it. When you turn 65, by golly, hopefully they built up a good nest egg and you can retire on it. Okay, that's what most people want. Those that really are like, I want to be my own bank. That's like a very small, like if you're watching this and that's you, I want you to recognize you're in the minority. You're special. And I admire that about you because that's me also. Right? But you are unusual in the sense that you want control of your finances. Okay, so I want to share with you some of the numbers here on buying a policy. Right, so the one I'm looking at right now, currently there's around 30 grand in cash value available. All right, now there is an outstanding loan that this person took out, and that I think is around 30,000 as well. Okay, the monthly premium deposit was lowered. We had it was higher. This person lowered it down. So I think it's around $500 a month right now. Right? And then the mech space is pretty good on this. I think I've got close to 100,000 in mech space available. Right? So on this particular policy, right now, this outstanding loan, the other thing here is loan interest. The outstanding loan has interest. The rate is around 6%, I believe. So 6% off of 30,000, that is $1,800 per year in interest. Boom, 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 right? Now, this person's selling it. Do I care why? Not really, right? If they don't want a banking system, I do, right? It's like if someone is selling a really good piece of real estate, you're not really going to talk them out of it and be like, what are you doing? Don't you see how good this is? They just don't want to be a real estate investor. Someone's selling a business. They just don't want to be in the business anymore. That's the free market enterprise. So I'll be a buyer and I'll say, good, I do want to be in the banking business. I do want another one of these accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase this. Okay. So here's what I would do. I would have this person take a loan against the 30 that they have in there, right? Hey, just go ahead and pull out all your cash. Deplete the cash value down to 0. Right? Now, the reason I'm doing this is I just did several real estate deals. So I'm not cash rich right now. I'm cash flow rich, but I'm not cash rich. I don't have a chunk of money sitting there waiting for use. I've got some money that I'm waiting to deploy for another investment soon, and it's not earmarked for buying another sacred account. So I'm going to tell them, hey, just take a loan against everything you have in there. Right? Now, from there, you've pulled out an outstanding loan, you've pulled out another loan, you've taken out $60K. And then I'll say, good, so what I'll do is I may pay you, or I may just say, cool, I'll take over your premiums. We're going to work that part out still, right? But I might just say, great, so I'm going to now assume your premiums. We're going to transfer ownership of the policy over to me. I'm going to assume your premiums. I'm going to take over the $500 a month, and I will become the owner of the policy. They'll still be the insured. I'll be the owner, and I'll be the beneficiary. Make sense? Okay, good. Now, I still have a MEC limit, and I have also room to repay now about $60,000 in loans. My loan interest is going to double, so that's going to go up to $3,600 for the year, right? And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take over and I'm going to say, great, so my goal now is I've secured the account. I now need to be the depositor. I'm going to start paying the $500 a month deposit into this account. It's the first thing I'm going to do. Now, there's no money to borrow against yet, so I can't be the banker yet. I can be the borrower. I need to put myself on a repayment schedule. So let's take a look at that. I pulled up my cash value policy loan interest calculator. I'm going to have a loan of about $60,000 that I need to repay. Right, my interest rate is around 6%, right? So we can see, and based on this, let's put it, 25% tax rate. Based on this, my interest cost here, and then I'm going to put myself on a repayment. So I know that I have a loan now at $60,000, right? And I know that I need to repay myself, right? So let's say I were to do $1,200 a month loan repayment. Right, we're going to go here, $1,200 a month loan repayment. No additional payments here. And let's see how long it takes for me to repay this loan. Let's increase the draw period. All right, that's going to take even longer. So let's take it to a 20-year draw, and let's see what happens. 15-year draw. All right, so this looks like it's working. So I repay the loan in full at 59 months, right? So really, we can take this to a 5-year again. Outstanding balance, boom. Month 57, my loan's paid off in full. Good. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I've got $60,000 I've borrowed. I'm going to repay $1,200 a month. My total loan interest for the life of this right, is $9,213. And that's over the period of basically 5 years, right? If we take a look at that, we can see that this is actually a lot lower than 6%, right? So I'm going to pull up a calculator. Let's take a look at this. Where is my calculator? There we go. So the number is $9,213.61, and that's divided over 5 years. So I'm paying $1,800 per year in interest, right? What that means is my net effective interest rate is 2.9%, right? Now, if I take that interest cost and I work with my CPA and my tax team and I say, hey, we're going to write this off on my taxes. This was an investment expense, right? And we do all the correct things, I can get that cost from $9,213 over 5 years down to $6,910. Okay. Then after a tax deduction, my net interest expense is actually 2.2%. Right? Now, in 5 years, this thing is completely paid back. Right? Also, in 5 years, I know that my cash value on the initial 60 that I went in there kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Right? So I know for a fact that I'm going to have more cash value. I'm going to have a fully back repaid loan, and probably I'll borrow against it sooner than that, right? I'll have plenty of mech space as well, right? And here's the great thing, guys. When I'm borrowing against the policy that someone else owned, they remain the insured, right? So when this person passes away, which will be a very long time from now, I will get the death benefit from that. It'll be tax-free. It'll be paid to my estate, right? And so not only will I have the benefit of using this additional banking system, right? But I'll have a tax-free benefit from it in the future too. Okay, now, this is a bit advanced. What I want to share with you is this is not where you should start. Okay, like I mentioned, I've got 6 of them going on 7. I did my 6th one this way. I'm doing my 7th one this way, right? This is not how you do your first one. On your first one, you should be insuring yourself. You should be insuring your spouse. Your second and third ones, your kids, right? And continuing to go on that route until you've built up the expertise to run all your banking branches profitably. Every single one of them is profitable. You're repaying loans with interest as agreed profitably, every single one of them. You're getting dividends. You're really doing well with this. Then you can get into purchasing policies from others, right? Now, this can build as the future goes on. You can start purchasing these in a way that more falls into the category of life settlement investing, right? But if you're someone that is younger like I am and you're buying from people that are younger and they're not quite, and you want to actually borrow against these policies, you might not do life settlement investing. You might use it for the cash value for borrowing, which is more of what I'm doing now versus life settlement investing, which is being done more for the death benefit. So I hope that video gives you some insight onto what I'm doing with my wealth walk this month. This should probably be in the next month or so. I'll probably get this one done. And that'll put me at 7. And the goal is to open up number 8 this year before the end of the year. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Thanks for watching, by the way. If this video was interesting, helpful, valuable, please like, comment if you have any questions or thoughts. Share this with someone, by the way, that needs to see this, right? Whether it's someone that doesn't believe yet in the sacred account or the banking concept, someone that maybe has a policy and they're like, man, it didn't work out the way I wanted, I'm not happy with it, whatever, right? Share this with them, okay? One of the worst things in the world is for someone to properly design a sacred account and then cancel it. Simply because they're uneducated, they're lazy, maybe they got bad information and someone, gave them some incorrect false data about how it works, right? Financial advisors love doing that because they don't get paid on these things and they've never used them themselves, okay? But if you know someone that's like, hey, I don't want mine, right? Or if you are someone that's like, I don't use it, I don't think I'm gonna use it. My brother-in-law or my so-and-so told me this and now I'm afraid of it and I don't want it anymore. It doesn't matter, right? If you are getting rid of a sacred account, reach out to me, let me know. I am in the business of acquiring them. And I have some clients that probably would love to do the same, okay? Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. I want to thank you for watching my video. If you learned something from this, if it was value to you, what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to give you a free copy of my book, Blueprints Financial Freedom. This is perfect for those that are on my channel learning this stuff and you want to take it to the next level. So if you go to the link jerryfetta.com, just my first and last name, jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, or click the link in the description, grab a free copy, we'll send it out to you. Can't wait to get you a copy in your hands.